This session will help you to use your leadership skills to launch into action by developing volunteer service activities. Upon completion of this session, you will understand the steps of product development, identify the issue area and type of project you want to lead, and know how to connect with the community partner agency. So, let's get started with developing volunteer projects. The first step is to identify an issue. It is helpful to identify a key community issue on which to focus your efforts. Identifying a community issue about which you are passionate about elicits dedication and perseverance. You will be driven to succeed. This passion, when discovered, will lead to a sense of mission, a sense of this is what I'm here for. Are you particularly interested in the quality of education in public schools? Does the future of our ecosystem greatly concern you? What community concerns preoccupy your mind? What do you enjoy doing with and for others? Where does your passion lie? Once you've chosen a focus area, you will need to narrow your scope. You will need to hone in on how you, along with the group of volunteers, can make a difference. The second step is to learn more about the issue or issues you have decided you want to address. Explore the background and underlying causes of low test scores in your community schools. Why is the crime rate so high? Research what other groups, nonprofits, churches, neighborhood associations, etc. are already doing to address this issue. Do you believe these groups are currently meeting the needs? Once you know what groups in your community are working on a particular issue area, determine whether or not they may be a good partner organization to which you may lend your passion, creativity, and energy. Take time to figure out who is the right person at the organization with whom to discuss your thoughts. Learn about the work that they are already doing. Ask them about the things they've dreamed about doing. Ask questions that help you understand what the greatest needs are that you can help address. After you have selected a community organization with which you would like to volunteer, look for ways that ongoing or one-time support can benefit the organization, its clients, and the community at large. Look for things in their facility, both inside and out, that you might be able to do that would be helpful to the organization. Do they need to have the entire building painted? Does the community know that this organization exists? Is the newsletter telling the story of the work they are doing? Will volunteers feel as though they have completed something worthwhile when they are done? Once you have identified a community issue and selected a partner organization with which to work, it is time to decide on a service activity. There is a great variety among volunteer service activities, so it is important to determine a specific scope of work. Do you want a large project? Do you want to come back every week? What is the impact you want to make for the organization and the community? When deciding on a service activity, pay close attention to the required time to complete the project, overall cost of producing the project, weather impact, what would happen in case of inclement weather, accessibility to building and facilities, how much skilled labor will be needed, can the need be addressed in a specific time frame? Now that you have selected the type of project you would like to plan, it is time to look more closely at the details of a service activity. As you narrow the scope of your project and determine what you are going to do, you will need to formulate ideas for how you can achieve your goals. In order to have a successful service project, you will have to plan well. You need to prepare for every detail from the number of volunteers to the method of reflection. Let's begin to look at how you can map out these project details so that you work effectively, meet your goals, and make an impact on the community. Part of the planning process is determining the tasks involved in completing the project. Consider what you want to accomplish and the tasks needed. Then, create a comprehensive list of the assignments and the number of volunteers needed for each task. If there are multiple goals, prioritize them according to each task's importance. This list will guide you as you recruit volunteers and plan the details for the day. An important part of the project development process is determining the resources you need to complete the project, including human, material, financial, and educational. Let's begin by looking at the human resources, the people power that you will need. You have already created a task list. Now, determine the number of volunteers you will need to complete the tasks. Figuring out the number of volunteers you need can be a challenge, so consider these variables as you do so. Volunteer skill levels. Is the work appropriate for beginners, or do you need more skilled volunteers? Volunteers' age. What is the age limit for the project? Duration of project. What is the time commitment required? Availability of supplies. Will you have enough supplies so that every volunteer has the necessary tools to be occupied throughout the project? Physical space available to perform the work. How large is the place you are going to work in? How many people can comfortably work there? In addition to assessing your volunteer needs, you will also need to address your tangible resource needs. Determine what supplies, materials, goods, and services you will need in order to complete your project. Make your list as comprehensive as possible, including resources for every aspect of the project, from name tags and refreshments for volunteers to tools and restroom facilities. You should work very hard to secure these resources at no cost. Ask local businesses, community members, and other organizations. What resources can they offer to help you carry out your project? Consider things such as supplies from a local paper goods store, food and refreshments from a restaurant or grocery store, meeting space from a local church, etc. You will need to consider how long you will orient and train the volunteers working on the project. In order for your volunteers to be an effective part of the project, they need to understand the issue that the project addresses and the impact it will make on the community. Volunteer orientation can be conducted prior to the project or included as part of the events during the service activities. Orientation should include a brief overview of the community organization's mission and services and how volunteer support is contributing to that mission. To incorporate service learning into the project, discuss the community issue that is being addressed by the agency and/or the project. A brief history of the issue and the current statistics linked to this issue are all extremely helpful in educating volunteers. Orientation should also include an outline of the project and what volunteers will be doing during the project. Plan for what resources you need in order to train and orient volunteers to the project. Consider these things. Time. When will you conduct the orientation and training? How much time will you need? Will you need to conduct more than one training session? Location. Will orientation and training be held at the service site or another location? Do you need a large space? Chairs? Tables? Electricity? Facilitators. Who will lead the orientation? Materials. Will you need printed materials, a PowerPoint presentation, or an online training? You can be the change.